Modern literature and popular culture often recontextualizes prior works to reinvigorate former beliefs, engaging a modern audience. Through connections and conflicts, these works are reimagined, presenting a contemporary consideration for a current audience. The intertextuality between William Shakespeare's The Tempest and Margaret Atwood's Hag-seed reinvigorates the value of theatre and explores the dangers in political ambition. History has shown political ambitions often result in violence and death. In modern society, this is not as prevalent, but the themes of corruption and power remain persistent in our political systems. Shakespeare highlights the connections between violence and power in Act 2, Scene 1. Antonio says, "Even if there were 20 guilty consciences standing between me and the dukedom, I'd melt them away before they'd bother me." The audience is struck by the highly modal language used in conjunction with the murderous hyperbole, conveying Antonio's lack of guilt. It is this lack of guilt that has allowed him to do horrid things in his pursuit of power. The use of strong visual imagery personifies Antonio's conscience, emphasizing his disconnection with his humanity due to his greed for power. Atwood mirrors this scene in chapter 36 of Hag-seed. Tony says, "A couple hundred years ago we would take advantage of this chaos and dispose of Sal." The use of temporal imagery highlights the immorality of past societies, reinvigorating the former belief that it is acceptable to use violence to achieve an outcome, further highlighting the continued prevalence of corruption in our political institutions. The diction of chaos and dispose of creates negative connotations that the audience views in Antonio's lack of humanity, which is mirrored in Tony's murderous proposal in his struggle for power, a theme connecting the two texts. During the Jacobean era, society valued theatre far more than in the present. The power of theatre in The Tempest is seen in Act 5, Scene 1. Prospero says, "And thence retire me to my Milan, where every third thought shall be my grave." The hyperbole and metonymy in this line conveys the feelings of closure, inner peace, and redemption that Prospero has attained through his metaphorical theatre, the island being his stage and him being the director. Atwood reinvigorates the value of theatre to her modern audience by contrasting the metaphorical representation of theatre in The Tempest with the literal theatre in Hag-seed. This is depicted in chapter 8. Watching their own faces as they pretended to be someone else, Felix found that strangely moving. For once in their lives, they loved themselves. The consistent use of emotive language humanizes the inmates by giving the audience a window into their lost sense of self. Acting the play gives the prisoners a sense of fulfillment, depicted through the third person, which allows the audience's insight into how the theatre has the power to change a person and their views regarding themselves. Humanizing the inmates, Atwood triggers the audience's empathy towards them, reinvigorating the value of theatre as a vehicle for self-expression and self-redemption. The intertextuality between Shakespeare's The Tempest and Atwood's Hag-seed reinvigorates former beliefs for a modern audience through both the connections and conflicts between the texts.